Hi, Al. My name is Neil. I'm with Dorkaholics.com.
What's up, Neil?
Just want to start and say, I've been familiar with you since your work on the Daily Show. So I'm a big fan of your brand of comedy.
Well, thanks.
Um,
You're in a very small group of people, but I appreciate it.
Coming on to the cast of Lopez versus Lopez, how would you describe the comedy and dynamics at play here?
It's a big silly multicam. If people don't know the difference, you have a multicam. We shoot. There's like I think at some point with the jib last night, we shot an episode last night, and there was like five cameras on the floor. So we capture scenes from a bunch of different angles. It's all on one stage. Something like Seinfeld went out in the street. They had that sort of New York City street that was on the CBS Radford lot, but we we knock these out. It's a big, fun, silly show that has a ton of heart in it as well because it is based on George and Mayan's real experience. So, typically when you do a show, you have to establish chemistry with your co-stars, and everybody goes out to dinner and then you hang out. This is based on their real life. This is real father and daughter. So you see, it's uh it's excellent. This is also, I'm going to attempt to, I'm not sure if you can hear that leaf blower, but this is really bad timing. These guys showed up late today, so I apologize.
No worries, I can't really hear it on my end.
Okay, great.
Playing the role of George Lopez's best friend on screen, that's I think most audiences might be familiar with Ernie from the George Lopez show. How would you describe your character and how he brings a new take on being friends with this version of George Lopez?
I am just we do have I feel like we have good chemistry because we are friends. And so it's he's in Ernie, and then with the previous show, he was so good. He actually he came out, I'm not sure if you saw the Christmas episode, but there was like the old cast came over to dinner, and it was so fantastic working with that group. But um I just know what I think is funny, and that's all I can do is like just sort of like use my own taste as this and choices. Uh but it is like, I really do care for George, and hopefully that shows, because I think Oscar, the character, cares for him way too much. Like Oscar would definitely jump in front of a moving car to save George. Like
Mhm.
there's no doubt. Like that's where my character lives. Like anything to help this guy out.
And I know an upcoming episode of Lopez versus Lopez features this friendship battle rivalry with you and Momo over George. Do you want to kind of tease us about like what's really driving this conflict for the show?
Well, yeah, it's like, I mean, you think about your own relationships. It's like when you have a best friend. Neil, do you have a best friend?
Yes.
Okay, and then some new guy comes in and starts to sort of dominate that person's time. There can't be help but be this rivalry. So that's where me and Momo are at. And then we realize that we're both being not to, like I was telling everybody on the call prior to this, it's like it's not The Last of Us, so I'm not going to be spoiling too much here, but we it's definitely a rivalry, and we realize George's motivation isn't exactly based in friendship.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I think a common theme throughout the this first season so far has been George managing his, I guess, innate subconscious decision making, and then what he truly wants to do as a father and in person. Um, for my next question, I'm really curious, how has the dynamic been with cast members outside of George? Like it watching the show really feels that Oscar is George's best friend and Oscar floats around.
We're exploring that more, because you get more opportunities. Like, and I think it's an episode that you haven't seen also that's due out. Like, I spent some time with Rosie. Like, I spent some time with Quentin, Matt Shively, who's like quickly becoming one of my favorite people. I love the fact that he gets an opportunity to like spend some time with people that aren't George. So I think there's a tremendous opportunity for me to sort of float around between the different cast members and lend my Oscar insight um, to whatever situation they find themselves in.
And then for my last question, it would be, what do you hope that audiences take away after watching episodes of Lopez versus Lopez?
Well, I think the high water mark for comedy for me is when you are silly, it's smart and heartfelt, and you're saying something at the same time. So if you can have all of those things come together, that's what makes a great show. So on every single episode, you're trying to stick that landing of being, you know, super silly, have a ton of jokes, but then also communicating something in a very sophisticated way that is, you're shedding light on maybe a difficult subject and causing some people to think that are watching the show. So if you can laugh, you can think, you can cry, that makes a great show.
Thank you so much for your time today, Al. Really appreciate speaking with you. Looking forward to the rest of Lopez versus Lopez.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I'm glad that Leaf Blower didn't destroy it, the interview. All right. Later.